Welcome your faces back to episode number 71 of the series Profit or Loss. I buy faulty electronic items from eBay, attempt to fix them and sell them on for a profit. As you can see here from Sally's spectacular spreadsheet, our total profit over the course of 71 episodes is £85.70. Today's item is in fact a little bit different. This is an Evercade handheld game console that I paid a total of £25 for on eBay. Am I going to be able to fix it and make a little bit of a profit? I don't know. Probably not, but I'm definitely up for the challenge and looking forward to learning something new. Like any other electronic system, it's just going to have a PCB, right? It can't be that hard. But I can hear you asking, Joey, what's the actual issue with this console? Well, my friends, the eBay listing does state customer returned as faulty. The fault is that we've left it on charge for over 1 hour. We can see the red charging light when it's connected to the wall charger. However, it will not turn on. I have left this in charge for around about an hour and I get the exact same symptoms. Today's episode of Profit or Loss has kindly been sponsored by NordVPN. More on them in a little bit. So let me show you firsthand what symptoms we get. So I have a power bank here with an ammeter plugged in and a USB-A to micro USB cable that plugs in to our console. So if I plug that in, you can see we don't get a red light at the moment because it's not on. So if I turn this on, here we go, we can see. We get 5 volts coming out of the power bank and 440 milliamps. I don't know if you can see, but you should be able, yeah, you can. There is a red light that you can see just about here to indicate that this thing is charging. Now, here we have the on button. Watch what happens to the amps when I go to power it on. Ready? There we go. It jumps up to 520. So I almost feel like it's turning on, but nothing's really happening. I have turned the sound up to see if I can get any noise coming from the speakers to indicate that the console may be on, but I can't hear anything. And like I previously said, I have left this on for a bit to charge anyway, and it's just not doing anything. Now, if I plug this into my PC and I turn the console on, we hear that sweet sound of success. And if I turn it off, you can hear it disconnect. So we have some life, just not all life. So what am I waiting for? Let's get into this. Now, Sticks Fix did a video on one of these, and believe it or not, they're not the easiest things to get into. You can't see any screws. There's no screws at all. So you actually need to heat the faceplate. I think Steve went with around about 200 degrees Celsius to eventually get this off. Okay, here we go. This is going to be funny because I'm probably going to destroy something here. Tools at the ready. Yes, we have success. Didn't take as long as I thought. I just put that in there. Go for the next one, just over here. Yeah, that one's come up as well. Nice. All the way around. Why not? Go on. There it is. Come on. Slowly but surely. There it is. Slowly. Don't break anything, Joey. There we go. Not as bad as I was expecting, to be honest. By the way, I don't usually sound like this. I just have a little bit of a cold at the moment. So please forgive me. And now we have some screws just around the faceplate. So we take those off. Screen itself looks in relatively good condition. So I find it hard to believe that this screen's going to be faulty, but it might be something underneath. Okay, all those screws are out. Does it now just pop off? I think so. Is there clips? Oh, maybe there's clips. Yeah, it feels like there's clips. So we use our spudger here. There we go. Oh, jubbly. Okay, we've got sliders falling out and everything. Just unplug this ribbon cable and unplug this one. And here we have our Evercade. Before we go any further with our diagnostics, let me tell you about today's sponsor, NordVPN. Using a virtual private network or VPN is the best way to keep yourself safe online. Personally, I like to use NordVPN for when I'm live streaming. It keeps my IP address hidden. That alone takes away all that stress and need of ever having to worry about showing my IP address whilst live. Simply connect to over 6,000 servers in 111 different countries at just a click of a button. Let's take the US for example. Maybe I want to watch Person of Interest, which isn't actually available on the UK Netflix. I just hop on over to the NordVPN desktop application, click on United States, and now I have a US IP to watch US exclusive content. 1 minute I'm here, and next minute I'm here. The NordVPN application also has built-in threat protection. It runs super smooth in the background and stops annoying pop-ups, risky downloads, and malicious links. And just in case that's not enough, NordVPN has a dark web monitor where you'll get alerts should your sensitive data get exposed online. So what is it you're actually waiting for? Use the link down below in the description to get 4 months extra on a 2-year plan with NordVPN. It's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. If you do go ahead and grab the deal, let
let me know in the comment section down below. Massive thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the repair.
Now, you actually plug games into these, as you can see from the game card slot reader just about here, but I don't have any games for it. So if we manage to get it to power on, I mean, that's our job completed, I think. And I think to get the main PCB out, we need to remove the actual battery. Now, our friend here is probably going to be some isopropyl alcohol. The screen's here, so we're going to have to avoid that, but just down here, loosen that adhesive that we have. We should just be able to peel this off. Yeah, look at that. Jubbly. Right, let's take the rest of the assembly out because I want to see how the whole kind of circuit works. I think as well, luckily for me, all these screws are the same size. I wonder what happens now that I've taken the battery out. We have the same sort of symptoms here. It's still hooked up to everything, so the screen's still attached. Right, what happens? Does it draw anything? We've got the 5 volts, but it doesn't seem to be drawing any amps at all. Okay. So it probably needs the battery in which case, battery plugged in, just making sure it still does the same thing, unless I've unclipped something. I mean, it would help, wouldn't it, if I plugged it in to charge? Yeah, exactly the same. So this is the power button, right? And again, it's doing something because it jumps up to 500 milliamps. Right, first off, we have our battery here, which is a 3.7 volt battery. So let's do our due diligence and just make sure it's okay and not just something as simple as a battery replacement. Now, the polarity is wrong. 3.7 volts. So this is a fully charged battery. So the battery is not the issue. This is the screen ribbon cable. I'm just taking a look at this to make sure that we don't have any splits or anything like that. Again, I don't hear sound coming from the console, so I think the screen is okay. That ribbon cable looks fine. I don't think we have any problem with the charging port itself because of the fact the battery is full. So I believe this is charging and it's taking amps. So it seems to be okay and it looks all right. Same story for this ribbon cable here. Wouldn't matter. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So it plugs into here and then assuming it goes through all this little circuit. Battery itself plugs in here and then there's the plus for the battery, which is in fact this pin right here. Can I see where that's going? Not really. I could check with a thermal camera as well here to see what's going on. Is that connected to, where's the power connected to then? So that's going to be ground, right? Yeah, that's definitely negative. So does that go up here to like here somewhere? No, I'm pretty sure Stez had an issue with this diode here, which then in turn was linked to, I think, a transistor which was faulty. And I think he fixed it with a Nintendo Switch 1, to be honest. But this is obviously a completely different fault. This draws power. So having a quick visual inspection on the board to see if there are any components that look worse for wear. A few little caps on the back. But to be honest, everything looks squeaky clean, hey? Out of interest then, in diode mode, because this went faulty for Steve, what do we get? 0, so we get, is it ground this side? I'm assuming it's ground. Yeah, and then what do we get this side? So this should be the positive. Should be like 0.6, 0.51. Okay. There we go, 0.52, 0.51. So exactly the same. Okay. 0 ohm resistor here. Do we have continuity through it? We do. Okay. Are there any other fuses on this board? Or we have another 0 ohm here. Quite a few actually. Just checking these resistors real quick. Any actual fuses? What about the actual power? No, because it does get power, doesn't it? So this is our power on and off button. All looks okay here, doesn't it? Yeah, it's very clicky as well. Inside looks okay. We have some more diodes down here. This is mini HDMI because I'm pretty sure you can hook this up, this mini HDMI, to a HDMI and put it onto your TV, which is pretty cool. Just plugged in the battery. I'm going to try and follow around this 3.7 volts, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and just see what happens and potentially where it goes. So it's 3.3 volts here, 0.3 volts here, 0.3 here as well. Okay, I think I'm just going to use the thermal cam. One thing I will point out as well is that I haven't got the battery connected right now and I've just plugged the power in straight into the board. And we've got 5 volts, but we don't have any amp draw. So I'm failing to believe that there's an actual short on the board itself, but I could be obviously completely wrong, which is usually the case. Okay, so the console is off technically, but we have the battery plugged in and there is one component that is getting relatively hot and it is a little transistor that we have here. 64, 65 degrees is hot. It's not ridiculously hot. If you compare it to everything else on the board, you know, it's hot. If I go to turn the console on, and obviously this jumps up now to 550 milliamps, again, this is the only thing that's getting spicy. So let's take a look at this. I marked it with my gold Sharpay and it's this one just here. Now I'm going to say I don't think we will, but I am just going to check this component for shorts. So the multimeter is in diode mode right now. So it's not going to beep if we do have a short. We get 0.5 there, which is fine in voltage drop. This is also 0.5, 0.51. What do we have up here? 0.52 here. Ground here. 1.6, 1.9? That's quite high, no? Nearly 2 voltage drop here. That's really high. That is this path here, which also goes to here. Now, would you say this little component is looking a little bit worse off than this one? Because we have a little bit of burning here. Let's just check here, because that's going to be the same path, right? Yeah, 1.9. What about here? 0.83. And here? 0.41. Okay. But this definitely looks worse off, in my opinion. Now, which one do we take off first? I'm going to leave it like this, just in case I need to actually grab the names of the components. So that top one is A11TFS, and this one is LTH7, I think. Weirdly, I'm actually just going to take off this one and see if that reading changes. Temperature here, I'm actually going to go 400 degrees Celsius because the board's pretty thin. I did not want to come off. Should we put it there for the time being? What's that underneath as well? Some sort of leakage. Probably over-exaggerating here. Oh, I don't know if these caps are on the circuit. This one and this one. Let me check this one down here now. Do we still get a high reading? 1.7. Board is hot, so that is going to be a little bit lower. But yeah, 1.7 is still the same. So I'm going to take this one off and actually let me put this one back on first. A little bit of flux helps the situation. Little cleanup. Forgive me, it might not have been you, my friend. That came off really easy. That's ground. 0.45. 0.78, 0.43, but climbing because the board is still relatively hot. 0.5, 0.6. So it's open line here. 2.9. Okay. Now again, I've never heard of this component in my life. LTH7 could be faulty, might not be. So here, I believe is ground. This could be really tough. And here, yeah, look, 1.9. 1.9 voltage drop. I think that's really high. It could be what this component needs though. From doing a little bit of research online, they do look like, so this does look like a charging chip, a charging IC. Therefore responsible charging the battery. Could it have been causing a fault in the circuit, preventing the device to turn on? Potentially. How hopeful am I? Not very. But currently, it's the only thing that I recognise is getting a little bit too hot. So just for confirmation here, I have the battery plugged in, and if I go to turn the power bank on, we're going to have 5 volts, but no draw. So clearly, the battery's now not charging. Funny that, because we've removed essentially the charging IC. I think I'm going to rightly assume that I've just taken this massive thermal pad off of this chip here, which looks like the CPU. Here we have said board, and the CPU is right here. If I go to switch the console on, it powers on, and the CPU is getting warm. We're at about 32 degrees and climbing slowly. We have a couple of components over here that are getting mildly warm, but here, again, the CPU is the only thing that's getting hot. But, I mean, that, to me, would show that this is okay, that the CPU is meant to be getting warm. I don't know. I'm very, very confused right now. That charging IC, I don't think is going to make a massive difference to this console actually working or not. I'm sure that is just something that is going to charge the battery. The battery, as we know, is taking a charge. It's at 3.7 volts, so it's full. When I go to switch on the console, nothing else is getting hot. I don't get a draw from the power bank. I get no amp draw at all when I power the console on without a battery. So there's no short, there's nothing getting hot. So being honest with you, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what the situation is with this console. We do have some caps around the CPU, so I'll just measure those quick. See if we have any shorts. This looks like what? That's probably like RAM or something there. RAM? Third time lucky. Let's try here. Okay. No. Not a short specifically. This is the back of the CPU here. Let's measure a few of these caps. Okay, so here we have 100 ohms. Might just be low impedance. 100 ohms. Okay, what do we have here? Short to ground there. 33 ohms there. Again, just low impedance probably. Get a lot with just like 33 ohms to show low impedance, but nothing's shorted to ground on the back of this. Well, I can assume it's a CPU anyway. Okay, so I've made a little bit of a discovery, just checking around a few things. If I measure on this coil, just on this side, we get 1.2k, right? 1.2k ohms. If I measure this coil, I get 0.6k. So what? 600 ohms. If I measure this coil at the top, I get 104 ohms. Now, I don't know about you, but they all look like they're in a very, very similar circuit here. So I don't know why this one is so much lower. There is one more just above. If I measure this one, it's at 95k. So I'm just going to remove this little coil here. Really shooting in the dark here, but trying to learn as we go, I guess. Okay, so now if I measure here, in resistance mode, I get nothing. If I measure here, I get 50 ohms. If I go to diode mode, what do we get? 0.34. This side? 0.03. Now, I know I probably shouldn't have, but I did just inject some voltage here. 0.5 volts, because obviously I didn't want to destroy either the RAM or the CPU. And when I inject 0.5 volts, I get a 200 milliamp draw, and again, the CPU is just getting hot. So I do think that this feeds straight into the CPU, but I'm not going to go any more than 0.5 volts. And again, this little chip here, I don't think it's going to make a difference because I believe this is the charging chip. So I am indeed a little bit lost. With limited knowledge and limited skills, I'm not going to be able to fix this one. I'll probably save it for a live stream. I live stream over on Twitch and here on YouTube. Sometimes when I can't fix something, you guys have the answer, or alternatively, just leave a comment down below. So let's park this one for the time being and move on to item number 2. This is an Xbox One S that I paid a grand total of £33 for. FYI, it's a couple days later, which is why I probably sound a little bit better. Supposedly, the fault on this one is that we have no power. However, if we look at the warranty sticker, it has been tampered with before. So, like all good things, let's give this a test. Do we get power? And when they say no power, sometimes they mean beep on, beep off. So let's see. Ah, completely dead. Okay, I'm excited about this. I like these ones. Could be something like a power supply or something a little bit more complex like a short on the 12-volt rail, and it might end up being a MOSFET. Something along those lines. Could be the actual power button. We have our first bit of plastic that's fallen out. Looks like we have all the screws accounted for, which is a nice thing to see. First inspection, the power button itself looks to be absolutely fine, so I don't think that's going to be causing an issue. Let's go ahead and just remove some of these screws then. Now, it is possible that the front I/O here is faulty and it's not just the button, but I've personally not had that before. So the chance of it being that is quite slim. Yep, it is a 500 gig hard drive as well. Right, first off, we're going to test the power supply, so DC voltage, and just make sure we get 12 volts coming from it. If we don't get 12 volts coming from this, then it's just going to be a new power supply, which I have a lot of donors for. Looks like it's going to be reading though, as you can see from top right. 12 volts? Yeah, 12 Vs. Power supply's okay. So unfortunately, it's not going to be as easy as that. Now, my favourite tool in the whole wide world is this bad boy. Look at this. X-clamp remover. What's also really nice about this is that I can't see any signs of liquid damage. It's a really, really clean board. The thermal paste obviously needs changing. But let's see, we got 12 volts short. My bet is 12 volts short here, and it's going to be this first MOSFET that is the issue. Very common with these Xbox One S's. Of course, I could be entirely wrong. Shock. Ah, I'm entirely wrong. Yeah, so that's negative. This is positive. This is positive pin. We don't have a short. Yeah, that MOSFET is obviously going to be okay. Yeah, 12 volts is fine. Interesting then. So where's this falling over? Let's just have a look at the ports, see if anything's causing a short. All looks okay. On very rare occasions as well, the retimer can be a cause for concern. Let's head on over to the microscope. On an Xbox One S on the retimer, we should be looking at around about 800 ohms. So this is a TDP or 7DP 159. So I should be getting around about 700 ohms here. Yep, that's in scope. So that's 900 ohms essentially. Nearly 1K. So I'm assuming our retimer is fine. Let's plug the power supply back in. Just going to take some measurements now. Again, I know we have 12 volts, but I'm just going to double check. Yeah, 12 volts. Do we have our 5, which is here? We have our 5 volts. We have our 3.3, 1.1 and 1.8. So 1.8, we have 1.8. And do we have 1.1? We do have 1.1. So we have all of our voltages present. So now I'm confused. Every single rail is present. If I'm being honest, doesn't make sense. So I've plugged the board back in. Do we get power now? We do. I heard a beep, but no light. Oh, there we go. So it does work. It beeps off straight away, but we don't have anything else plugged in. Wait a minute. Let's just clear up the thermal paste and see if there's maybe something like the disk drive causing a short, or even potentially the hard drive. I don't know. Or even something like the Wi-Fi board. Step 1, fans in. Oh, it's spinning. So clearly, it's got power of some sort. Maybe it was just set to always on, which is why it's just coming on. That looks like it's powering on. I mean, it's not beep on, beep off at the moment. Let's attach the hard drive. And why not the disk drive as well at this point? Plug in power. Press power. Yeah. Oh, wait. Wait. Unless it's trolling me. Let's try again. No power. Okay, so it's either the disk drive or the hard drive. Let's try disk drive first. So taking that out. All of the pins that we have for the disk drive here look okay. No. No power. I'm just going to unplug and put it back in, just to make sure. I'm getting a beep now, and it's spinning. I think the light will come on in a second. The fan's spinning. It done this last time, didn't it? Light's not come on. Let me just push it now. Light's come on. Could it potentially be this disk drive then? Interesting, because this is on now. Let's see if we get an image. The only other thing I might say is that it could still be the power supply. Even though it's shown as 12 volts, we could just have a power supply that doesn't work under load. So I need to check that as well. Yeah, I mean, it's on. It powers on. It displays. Weird. Turn it off again. There we go. Okay. Again, took a while for the light to actually show up. And we can see here, clearly, it works. It powers on and displays. So I've just turned it off again. The fan should slow down in a sec. There we go. I'm going to just pull out the power and put it back in and just double check. Again, we don't have the disk drive. So power's come out. Put the power back in. Does it power on? It does. I mean, this starts spinning because, again, I think they're going to have the settings to always on, which means that when you have power to the console's on. I'm going to plug in the disk drive and see what happens. Power cable. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I mean, that's fan spin, so it's... No. Wow. The disk drive is causing a short. Because look, that's not powering on now. Just having a prod around the connector, the power cable, on the whole top row of the disk drive, I get nothing, as you can probably see on the screen. I mean, it's very low, 0.04, 0.03. If I disconnect that and measure now, nothing on that first one, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay, so that's the power. So does it power on? No. Okay, so now I wonder if I remove the SATA, is that now going to work? No. Okay, I've taken the power cable out from the disk drive. I've taken the power lead out from the console. I'm just going to put this back in and see now if we get anything. Here we do, look. Oh my gosh. What do we measure on the first pin of that connector? 12 volts. So I don't know if it's this cable causing a short or the actual drive itself, but now if I go to power it on, look at that. Power's on. I've never had this before. This is amazing. If I measure here and here in continuity mode, we don't have a beep. So it's the first and second pin of this connector, because this is 12 volts, the top one, and this one down here is ground. So I measure here and here. That's ground. Measure the top one. That's 12 volts. So we don't get a continuous path there to ground. This here is the connector. And these two, so that one and the one below it, are the two corresponding ones to the board. And I put that one there and this one there. That's 12 volts and ground shorted. So I think this cable, there's something wrong with it. Unless there's something wrong with the actual, again, the disk drive. We can rule that out pretty quick though, because I've just disconnected the cable from the disk drive. Are these two shorted? No. Cable itself is fine. Our issue is with disk drive. Now, this could be an issue, and the reason being that this disk drive has a daughter board which pairs with the motherboard, and without that daughter board, the disk drive won't work. So we need to find the short on this board and fix it, essentially. We don't really have a choice. These boards are actually really nice to work with. I've just taken out a few of the cables. I have noticed a short on some of the capacitors, so I'm just taking this board out now. We've got 4 screws, I think it is, or 3. Yeah, no, 3 screws. We just need to desolder this red wire and the black wire. That's for the motor. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, to be honest. I know it sounds weird, but I think it's because it's like such a bespoke little fault. An example we have is this cap here. That is shorted to ground. And also, there was another one. Where are you? Yeah, these ones as well. That one and that one. Now, could it be this chip? Of course it could, because why wouldn't it be? And I'm pretty sure this is the chip that holds the data. Looking visually on the board, I can't really see any big damage, but I will give it a real quick skim under the microscope itself. Can't see any bulging caps or anything that looks really unhealthy that could suggest that we have a problem. The short does go all the way up here as well, so that cap here is shorted. I mean, that doesn't look too healthy, but I think it's actually meant to look like that. So I think we just get injecting and see what the situation is. Starting with a very, very low 0.5 volts to see if anything gets warm. Right, I think we found our culprit. This on the thermal camera, I'm injecting 0.5 volts. And look at that, right there, out of the whole board, we have our little capacitor. This cap here is our culprit. But Joey, how can you be sure? I'm going to inject again. And watch this. IPA on this cap. Can you see how it dissolves? Pretty much straight away, see that? There's a hot cap. There it goes. Let's get that cap off and see if our short goes. 450 degrees Celsius, airflow speed at 50%. The board is quite thin, so 450 is a little bit excessive, but I'm just here to get the job done. There it goes. We can check on the actual cap itself in continuity mode. Were you? Oh, you were shorted. I did hear a beep. Try and escape. Yep, shorted cap. There it is. Now, if we measure on the caps that were shorted before, this side is ground. This side is not. There we go. So short, be gone. Just need to replace that now. I have a donor cap here from a donor board. I've made sure that it's not shorted, because that'd be embarrassing. Tiniest bit of flux here. Take the iron and just plop a little bit of solder there. A little bit of solder there. Doesn't look the prettiest, does it? Like nothing ever happened. And just to double check, ground that side, not ground that side. Short is definitely gone. Let's put it back in the console and give it a test. Okay, moment of truth. Will this actually power on? now that we've got the disk drive in as well, because that's where it was obviously failing. Okay. 3, 2, I mean, it powers on, because again, the instant on. There we go, we get the light. All right, our short is gone. What an intriguing little fix. And you know what? Yeah, I know the series is called Profit or Loss, but we've just saved this from the garbage with a really interesting fix. That's why I love doing this. Gets your mind thinking. That sense of achievement, the dopamine that comes when it actually works is different. I'm going to put it back together, just give it a few checks, and then hopefully we can count this as a profit. But the main question, because I didn't see when I opened the drive, is there a disk? No, there's not. But good news is that the eject button works. Hopefully it actually reads discs. It's not back together yet, but I thought I could just test the disc now. I mean, it takes it really nice, actually. Does the game show up? It does. Rise of Rome, Son of Rome, and it's installing and wearing up. Sounds healthy. Jubbly. Now again, like I said, just give the fan a little bit of a clean, put it back together. We should be good. Console back together. We have a few scuff marks just over the side here, and we've taken the sticker off. I'll get this last little bit off later. But yeah, overall, not too bad condition at all. What you'd kind of expect for a console that's, 10 years old or so. I can confirm it works exactly as it should. All that's left to do now is head on over to Sally's Spectacular Spreadsheet to see if we've made a profit. Total cost was £58. That was £33 for the Xbox and £25 for the Evercade. Let's also bear in mind here that I'm not completely writing off the Evercade. I'm counting it as a loss for this series, but I will revisit it and try to fix it if I can. Parts was 0 because it was a capacitor for the Xbox One. Sale price, I reckon I'm going to be able to get £65 for the Xbox One S, which gives us a gross profit in today's video of £1 and 15 pence. I think that's my biggest profit so far. Add that lovely juicy £1.15 hit, bringing our total profit to £86 and 85 pence. Remember, you can get 4 months extra on your 2-year plan with NordVPN by using the link down below in the description. Thank you to Nord for sponsoring today's video. If you enjoyed this one, I'll post last week's up here. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace.